Yeah, David Lewis, how are you? Welcome back, David.
Great to see you, Steve. Thanks for having me back again.
It's been cold lately. I've been struggling to get my washing done. It's pretty overcast outside today. How is
Mm.
it in Belmore?
Well, being 10 kilometers over, we've got tropical weather. I've built a beach. Um, it's about the same, actually. I've got a pile of washing to do, and uh, I'm sure your listeners are now thinking, "Oh, thank God they're talking about the laundry."
We've been in a lockdown for another week now.
Hmm.
I booked my
Two.
vaccine for the 2nd of August, getting the
Excellent.
Pfizer. I did it through
Excellent.
Sonic Healthcare, but it was just a stuff around. Have you been vaccinated yet?
Yeah. I was able to be vaccinated, and I did it because I wanted to go overseas.
What you get,
not
AstraZeneca?
not yet. I got the Pfizer. Yeah,
Oh, you got the Pfizer. How
yeah.
long you got to wait for the second shot?
It took me. I think it was 2 weeks, two and a half
Yeah.
weeks or something. Yeah.
Did
So
you,
I'm done. So
did you go to Homebush?
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna go there, but I'm going to Campbelltown East, Community Hall.
Oh, excellent.
Because I don't want to go to Homebush. Like the local GP up the road, he's only got the AstraZeneca, but
Yeah,
they're not carrying the Pfizer yet because I'm 27 years old. He
yeah.
always recommended I
Uh,
get the Pfizer. How'd you feel?
yeah.
You get see
No,
the fine?
I was good. Oh, yeah,
Awesome.
no. I was in bed for a week after, but then I realized that's what I do anyway. So
Hmm. Hmm.
no, no side effects. No,
Did they
I was good.
did they give you a card?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So they gave
So
you a card.
now I just walk downtown breathing on people waving their card.
No, the world's changing, David.
Yeah. We live in almost unprecedented times. We've had pandemics before, of course, but not like this one.
This is weird. Is this a sign of the second coming of Jesus Christ?
Would he bother coming back in the middle of a pandemic?
Oh
You know,
fuck. I don't know.
he probably. I might put this off till this is cleared off. I got, I got, I got too much to do. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is, and I know that there are people out there who believe it might be,
Mm,
and if they're right, you know, I'll I'll be thrown into the fire pit. But that's been, that's been my uh, um, that's what would have happened to me anyway. So I may as well, if you're gonna go down hard. That's what I say.
mm,
Yep.
fair enough. Live life to the best.
Yeah,
You know. Nah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, David.
there are, most of which make no sense, as most conspiracy theories don't. And of course, a conspiracy theory is a way of making sense of a world that really doesn't make sense.
Mm,
Um, but no one can tell me precisely why they'd manufacture a virus and let it out. And we get, oh, the Chinese government wanted to wreck every economy in the world,
mm,
which seems to me to be a fundamental misunderstanding of how economies work. Economies don't work in a vacuum. If you can't sell to anyone, you
mm.
can't make money. If you can't make money, you don't have an economy.
Well,
Um, Bill Gates putting trackers in, as someone pointed out. Why would he? The people who are telling us about the trackers are posting this on their iPhones,
mm,
which have tracking devices.
mm,
And their smartphones. Not just iPhones. They've got tracking devices on them. So it's hardly. And I suppose there's but I can turn that off, but you don't.
mm.
You know, um,
What's driving me crazy is this QR code checking in now. I'm getting fed up with it.
it is really important, and it's it's to help people check the where everyone's been,
Mm,
and it gets annoying, but it's much less annoying than being in intensive care on
mm,
a ventilator or having long COVID. And it seems may this Delta variant, I'm sorry, may have a more chance of getting a chronic and repetitive long COVID lasting months and maybe years. There's people who've had COVID since last year,
mm.
um, which is terrible. And you don't want that either. So yeah, it's annoying, the QR stuff, but it's better than
Yeah, I've heard
it's helping.
the Delta strains affecting young people. You pick it up from the air, and
It's very
The Johnson and Johnson is what the Yanks have is probably only half effective to it. I don't know.
I I understand. Again, being vaccinated is better than not being vaccinated.
Mm,
Um, um, and it's to reach herd immunity to the point where the virus doesn't want to enter. And
mm,
we got rid of things like polio.
mm,
We got rid of smallpox. We absolutely annihilated smallpox.
mm.
We got rid of um, uh, I can't think of what else we got rid of. We certainly greatly reduced the amount of chickenpox and
Mm.
measles, and took the edge of them, so they became less serious diseases.
Yeah.
Um, and it's amazing that we'd never been able to vaccinate against a coronavirus before. There's been quite a few. There hasn't been 20 or 19 of them. 19 refers to the year it was discovered. But there had been, and SARS, which devastated Singapore 20 years ago, and they couldn't get a vaccine to it, but we've managed to do that. So that's a pretty amazing thing. And I
Well, as
think
long
that,
as you felt fine, that's the main thing after getting the
hmm,
jab.
oh yeah, no, I was fine.
So
As I said,
you've had your two shots.
yep,
So have they told you do you need to go back next year or we don't know?
we don't know yet. Um, like the flu shot, uh, sometimes you've got to go back every year or every two.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a lifelong thing. We don't know. We'll find out. If they ask me back next year, I'll turn up. If if they don't ask me back next year, I'll leave them alone to get on with the other work they've got to do. Maybe I'll
But
show them, hi guys, remember me?
have you been busy? Or you're not gigging any because of the lockdown?
No. I had all these gigs lined up, and I was looking forward to coming on the show and telling you about them.
Shit.
Um, um, Most of them will be back.
Mm,
I think we've probably lost a couple. But yeah, when the show's back, I'll be happy to tell you about Club Ride,
mm,
open mic nights on Thursday nights. Come along, bring an instrument.
mm.
We know that's coming back. The rest of them, when we're open up again, I will be shouting them from the rooftop, and I'd love all the Stephen Shiels listeners to come along.
Definitely. Who knows? We could. I'd love to one day get a studio and get you to play live on the Stephen Shields radio show one day.
I
Like
I'd love that.
Tim Brewer played on the show, but we done it on Zoom. The audio's not the best on Zoom.
Yeah, yeah.
It
No,
was good.
I next time I'll do a mandolin. So the just me and the mandolin, I think, or me and the banjo, and so that'll help.
Have you got some songs like the Beatles that you want to break down and talk a bit about theory on the Beatles?
Uh, sure, always happy to do that.
Yeah.
What song? What have you?
Uh,
Well, let's go from here. Ringo Starr turned 81, I think, this week.
mhm.
Um, so we can talk about that. Happy birthday to Ringo, of course. I'm sure he's a big Stephen Shields listener.
What about
Um,
Hey Jude and Revolution? You played them?
Yeah, look, Hey Jude. My favorite part about Hey Jude
Yeah.
is that there is a swear word in it.
Subliminal swear word.
Almost, yes. It if you if you go to the just before the nanas start, I think
Mm,
it's about the 2:58, 2 minutes 58 section. You can clearly hear someone maybe come in early,
mm,
and you've got to listen in the background, and as they've remixed it, they've taken it out. If
mm.
those of you who have an original vinyl copy, firstly send it to me. Secondly, uh, secondly, it's most pronounced on that. Somehow it missed everyone. Um, and then you hear the unmistakable voice of John Lennon react to someone coming in early. And I won't say the swear word because this is a family show, but
Family. We go crazy sometimes.
we do. But John Lennon
Mm,
swears, and
mm,
you can hear it. And the lovely thing about it is that there had been that fairly hard criticism of the Beatles by the type of
mm.
people who criticize, and this could have got them taken off the air. I mean, Hey Jude's one of the last singles they
Mm.
do. You know, I think there's only 3 or 4 more singles after that, so it's a bit pointless then. But it would have been a slight, and nobody hears it till years later.
Mm,
And of course, once you've heard it, you can never unhear it. And one of the beauties of the Beatles is not the perfection of them; it is the imperfection of them.
mm,
They there's mistakes. There's Ringo. Interestingly, doesn't make a mistake. He drops a beat once, I think. A
mm,
fellow called Lewison went through the studio logs, and so we know exactly who played on what.
mm,
And the rumor persists that Paul McCartney played the drums after 1966. That's absolutely nonsense. Paul played on a couple of tracks,
mm,
um, but Ringo is on nearly everything,
mm.
and he's an extraordinary drummer. He really is. Um,
Oh yeah, legends.
uh, yeah, yeah, and he he doesn't. He drops. I think that whenever they do a retake of the drum track, it's because they've decided to change the speed of the feel or something.
Mm,
It's only twice, I think, that it's because Ringo dropped a beat.
mm,
That's extraordinary. Even top session drummers like Jim Keltner or Simon Phillips or those guys drop beats occasionally. Oh, we've got to do that take again. You missed a beat there. Um, yeah, and if you're not doing it too often, no one minds. Ringo in those 10 albums and couple hundred songs twice, which
sure.
is which is incredible. Paul and George and John made mistakes. They're human. Sometimes they kept the mistakes in. You can hear in some of the early Beatles tracks when they were churning out an album in 2 and 3 days. John will be singing one line and Paul will be singing another.
Mm,
Sometimes I think this might be deliberate.
mm.
Sometimes it's clearly not. Um,
It's good
um,
stuff.
oh yeah, and it's the imperfections that make it perfect.
Mm,
That they were human. And one of the things I'm looking forward to this Peter Jackson film
mm,
coming out is that the little clip Peter Jackson put out, a 5 minute clip, they look human. They don't look like, the icons staring off into the distance.
mm,
They look like fellas mucking around in the studio.
mm.
And again, this makes it even better somehow.
You know,
um,
lately, I've been, looking at. I love the Beatles, by the way. Different newspapers. Like
yep,
there's the Daily Telegraph, there's the
yep.
Australian, there's the Sydney Morning Herald. I know the Sydney Morning Herald's more Labor focused. Is that correct?
No, not really. The Sydney Morning Herald's chairman is Peter Costello.
Uh-huh.
Nine Media bought Fairfax
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, and the chairman of Nine Media, and hence the chairman of um, Fairfax, is Peter Costello, who was, of course, John Howard's
Mm-hmm.
treasurer. You know, it the Sydney Morning Herald may have leaned Labor at one stage,
Mm-hmm.
um, but no, it doesn't lean. If it leans anyway, it leans towards the Liberal Party. Although I know that some of the journalists there have fought to keep it an independent paper.
Mm-hmm. What about the Daily Telegraph? They're liberal, are they?
They're owned by News Corp,
Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch. Um,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so very much a very right wing leaning paper.
What
So
about the Australian?
it's another Murdoch publication. So it's very uh, openly right wing. I think we'll put it that way. You can get some good stories out of all of them on
Mm.
occasion. By the way, I don't want to. I tend not to read them, but every now and then there'll be some really good work out of them.
Because
Um,
I know you love you do a political show, and I thought I'd ask you about that. Do you
sure,
read a paper or do you subscribe to the New York Times? Because I know Fox News is on the right as well.
Fox is owned by Rupert Murdoch.
I quite look. I quite like Fox News actually. I don't know, but I don't read the paper. I just see clips on Fox News on YouTube. But I just don't like Donald Trump. You know, he shaved Vince McMahon's head bald.
During wrestling,
And he got stunned by Steve Austin. I'm serious.
it it's wrestling. It's a thing. I used to watch it back in high school.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, it was, to me it was the most honest sport because it didn't pretend.
Yeah.
It didn't pretend to be it didn't pretend to be anything it wasn't. It was ridiculous and fun, and uh, the what's it called, kayfabe, the story,
Mm.
was always wonderful. And yeah, I lost track of it as a young adult.
Well,
um
it became like I don't WWE became a PG show, which sucks. It threw me off.
yeah, how's
Uh,
that?
it's it's shit. It's
Right.
like a kids show. It's like
Yeah,
when you watch the Attitude Era with Steve Austin, and you had Donald Trump. That was
yeah,
awesome. Now there's
yeah.
another organization called All Elite Wrestling. So Vince McMahon wanted to get into politics or something. That's why he made a PG show. Just
uh yeah.
or
I
Linda McMahon. Did you hear anything about that?
No, not really,
Mm.
no. I mean, I know who Steve Austin is, and I know who John Cena is, and I know who, well, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, obviously. Um, he's become a massive star. But yeah, my era was Hulk Hogan and the Iron
Nice.
Sheik and
Ric
the
Flair,
Junkyard Dog, Ric Flair, Rowdy
legend.
Roddy Piper. Yeah, those guys. And now everyone's calculating back. Oh, you must be like 90.
Was it a PG show when you were growing up, or was it for adults?
Pretty much. No, pretty much. Um, it was,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. It 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 was violent, but it wasn't horribly over the top violent. I
Mm.
think they'd stopped cutting their foreheads to get the blood flowing. One
At
of the
one
tricks,
point, yeah.
you'd be thrown off the stage, and you'd have a razor hidden, and
Mm.
you'd cut your forehead, and you didn't have to cut it much, but there's a lot of little capillaries and so it looked like a lot of blood, and it looked really serious where it wasn't really. I think they'd stopped doing that even by the time I started watching, because even though
Hepatitis and
hepatitis,
HIV.
yeah, there was all of that. I'm guessing.
A couple of wrestlers caught Hep C and ended up having liver problems before they started all this testing.
Yeah, it pretty much blood's meant to stay in your body, and so if you can do that, you should do that.
That's what makes it good. And the Undertaker, he threw Mick Foley off the Hell in the Cell. That was real, you know.
Oh, they hurt themselves. They didn't. They did their very best not to hurt each other, because most of them were friends outside.
And Undertaker, he had a broken foot.
Yeah. No,
this is the Attitude Era when Steve Austin, they did crazy thing. Kurt Angle with the milk truck. It was a more more of a sexual show, but those are the good days.
Yeah, I guess each generation of wrestlers talks to the generation of fans coming through. As I said, I haven't watched it in many years regularly, but people love it now, and it brings through new new viewers, and with each generation. And I don't know who the current stars are. I think John Cena still wrestles.
No, he's gone to Hollywood.
Oh, he has gone.
He was in the new Fast and Furious.
That's right. I haven't seen it yet.
See, he should have ended up as a bad guy toward the end of his career. It was a baby face. Randy Orton's still there.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep.
But All Elite Wrestling, some of the ex-WWE wrestlers are going to AEW because the WWE is so scripted, and there's a lot of politics because it's a publicly traded company.
Yeah. And you can get too big. I know that there's a couple, I think, of wrestling competitions, as it were, around Sydney. And last time I went to Comic-Con, what's it called?
Comic-Con?
Yeah, one of those conventions. They had a wrestling demonstration.
Nice.
And then I noticed in Mytilene Hall in Canterbury, they had a weekend of wrestling, and I should have went, but I didn't. But they're building it up, and it looks great fun. And yeah, when we're all back, I might go to one, because it might be good fun. And the heroes and the heels and the story and and let's be fair, the incredible gymnastics of men who weigh 150, 200 kilos, throwing each other around in a way that 130 to 150 kilos, let's not exaggerate, throwing each other around, and it's quite incredible athleticism, and it's all fake, which you wonder if it's the only fake sport around, but that I'm not qualified to talk about that.
You remember when Jake the Snake Roberts, he got his Cobra, and basically it was real. Didn't have any venom, and it bit one of the wrestlers.